It also happens to be in 1992 that Matt was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and treated by our unit. To speak on behalf of the patients and families of the KCC, please welcome Matt O'Kane.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell, Professor Marshall, and the organising team, and all of you who were amazing to me then and amazing to the kids of today. Everyone, give yourself a round of applause for 60 years. Yeah. How far have we come since 1964? The Kids Cancer Centre team have selected me for the honour of speaking on behalf of childhood survivors who are like me and those who are not as fortunate. I'd like to share 3 stories from my time during and after my treatment at Prince of Wales Children's Hospital in 1992 and 1993. They're going to be good, they're going to be bad, and shall we say, sometimes indelicate. You have been warned. In 1992, I was given 5 weeks to live. Today, I stand before you, 31 years later, thanks to the tireless work of people like all of you in this room. Thank you for your amazing work. Give yourself, come on. This is a celebration night. Give yourself a round of applause. When I was in treatment, many of my friends often visited me and they snuck out of school, which is a bit naughty, right? So I'm a student in 16 years old on the ward, and they snuck out of school to cheer me up. But sometimes the teachers did that too. One particularly strict teacher, but dreaded Vopper. Vopper's a good bloke, by the way, but he was strict to us, right? He got him a lift over at the level 0 over the hospital, and then 2 of my best mates, Murph and Roy, jumped in behind him without realising it was Vopper. And then they just sat in that lift as it went up to level 2, a lot of quiet in that lift. But then Vopper just got out of the lift, nodded and smiled. They were lucky. Good for them.
Very good.
Now, another story I want to tell you about is after you had a round of chemo back then, it's probably, I don't know if it's true today, but sometimes they gave you a little tablet called a rescue pill. Do they still do that today? Yeah, okay, all right. And I was always told, if you didn't take the rescue pills, your wee might burn. But sometimes the younger kids decided they've had enough of this medicine stuff and they didn't take it. Anyway, one morning, I think it was a 9-year-old or something, he just had his infusion, but he pretended to take the rescue, but he didn't. Next morning, and I just hear this noise, and he's yelling at us going, "Cut it off, cut it off." And I remember the nurse, she says, "Nah, I'm pretty sure you're going to want that later on." I'm pretty sure he was fine a few hours later, so let's not worry about it. But it wasn't just the treatment. So after the treatment, a childhood cancer survivor of the 90s was a bit of a thing of awe and wonder, so people often talked about him. And it was well known in the 90s, sometimes and often, high-dose chemotherapy resulted in infertility. One time, and we all go through this awkward dating in our 20s, but this adds an extra dimension. So one time in my 20s, I was dating this nice young lady, and she says, "Come home and meet my mum." So I go home to her mum, get in the front door, without any other words, not even a hello, how you going, without anything else. She just looks at me, she goes, "Are you fertile?" And I don't stand for those kind of comments, so I looked back at her and I said, "I don't know, let's go at the back and find out." I understand her anxiety, I get it, I have empathy, but perhaps she could have given me dinner first. That's the only thing I sort of say. Let me tell you about a man who meets and marries an amazing woman. And they build an amazing life together with 2 amazing boys. It turns out I'm fertile after all. The man, through a series of unlikely events, becomes a cyber breach investigator. He builds a business He creates employment. He defends businesses against cyber criminals. He writes and teaches others at universities how to do the same. It almost sounds ridiculous when I say it out loud. If this man was born 20 years earlier, indeed if he was born 1 year earlier, all of the above would be imaginary, fanciful, nonsensical, impossible. Except this is all real, and it's just one story of thousands. Thousands of children who went into the Kids Cancer Centre. Their journey of hope and their struggles and trials inspires their family and their friends, which multiplies the inspiration. The effect is multiplied by thousands for each survivor who grows into an adult, for their positive effects on the community. Therefore, all of you in this room have made an outsized positive impact in a chain reaction of joy and hope in the lives of hundreds of thousands of people in Australia and beyond. Give yourself another round of applause for that. On 1975, I started a life totally blind. That's a 1 in 10,000 occurrence. On November 26, 1992, at age 16, I received a diagnosis of late-stage non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. I'm told by Karen that childhood cancer is also a 1 in 10,000 occurrence. These risks are mutually exclusive, and for the mathematically minded in the room means you multiply them together, which makes me a 1 in 100 million person. This is roughly the same odds as winning the Powerball jackpot. If I had a choice, I would choose you guys. You guys are awesome. What followed my diagnosis was a time of maximums. Maximum pain, maximum stakes, maximum loss, maximum growth, maximum hope, and maximum love. The first 3 weeks leading to Christmas '92 were marked by my maximum weight loss as the illness and the chemo fought for supremacy. I went from 95 kegs to an astonishing 45. I became too weak to even crawl. The remaining 3 months until my release just got harder and tougher. During my 4 months, including my 2 months in isolation, I was pushed right up against the very edge. Despite all of that, the ward of C4, now C2 North, the ward of hope, was our home. We had Nintendos, we had televisions. I had an AM radio to listen to the news because I was a nerd. Our shared room, sometimes up to 5 other children, transformed into a social hub, from friends and family visiting us at all hours. My family was there all the time, along with my friends, which was pretty awesome. Looking back, I realised that C4, our C2 North, wasn't just a ward. It was a crucible where the raw materials of science, compassion, and human resilience were forged into something powerful: hope. Despite all of the advances, hope often did not triumph. This was true in the 60s, in the 90s, and even in 2024. But today, the Kids Cancer Centre achieves an astonishing 80% survival rate. That number climbs to 95% for leukemia patients. But we must remember 2 crucial points. First, this means that 1 in 5 children still do not survive. Second, even for the 80% who do survive, many still endure painful and uncomfortable treatments like I did, and many still suffer long-term side effects, both physical and mental. The lesson from my experience and the 60-year history of the Kids Cancer Centre, started all those years ago by Professor O'Corman Hughes, is simple yet profound. You can take the pain, you can take the loss, you can take the suffering, and they are nothing when you weigh them against those 2 powerful and most unstoppable forces, hope and love. hope and love expressed by the dedication of all of you, the community supporters, the families, the researchers, the medical staff, the doctors, the nurses, every one of you. Let's have a round of applause for hope and love. I stand here today, 31 years after I was granted remission. While I celebrate this milestone, my thoughts are with those who were not as fortunate. We honour their memory, and they will forever remain in our hearts. The Kids Cancer Centre, and therefore all of you in this room, are the hope and the love expressed by the production of world-leading science, resilience, and human compassion. I dream of a day where speeches like mine are historical curiosities, where every child diagnosed with cancer can be told with certainty, we can cure this. With your continued dedication, science, in treatment and in compassion, I believe one day we'll be here soon. Tonight we will celebrate our maximum hope, maximum love, and our coming maximum 100% survival rate. Thank you very much.